Welcome back, GRD 121 Computer Graphics, to part 3 of our wine bottle, wine glass exercise that we're working on. And this is the third video. And we built our bottle. This is a bottle I have so far. And we're going to put this little foil part on top. And we made this by an intersection of the bottle shape and just a rectangle. So we have just that part, and we're just going to lay it on top. It won't be part of the bottle. We won't join it or unite it or anything like that. It will just lay right on top. Keep in mind, I have all these layers here. They're all paths, and they're all named, so I know what they are when I click on them. But we're going to put them in a layer folder. I'm just going to wait until I do this first. So I'm going to zoom into this, and I'm just going to lay it on top for now and make sure it's on the top over here. Now, I don't have a fill on it. It just has a border. Now, I could get rid of my border, which temporarily I won't see it, and then I'm going to give it a fill. And what I'm going to do is just give it a linear gradient right away. I'm going to go here and go linear gradient and just do that. And then I'm going to start working on my gradient. But before I do that, I'm going to click off here and kind of get out of here for a second. I'll hold my space bar and move over because I want to see both of these. I want to make this gradient look like that. And we're going to add a bunch of colors to it. And normally I say don't look at it the way it is, but this one we can actually do that. So we're going to try and make this look the way it is by just adding colors going across to the gradient. So I'm going to go in here to edit it. And right now it's going black to white, and we want it to go from maybe a dark red to all these colors. We're going to put a bunch of colors in here, and we'll start over here on this end, and I'll just go here and click on the white, and I'm going to take the eyedropper and just sample, kind of go here and sample that red at the end. And I'm just going to sample that color there. Now, it doesn't look like it yet, but we're picking up that end there. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is pick up this light color. Now, there's subtle variations in here, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to try to pick up this light color next. And we are going to try to match it based on how far over it is. So it's just a little bit over. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to take the eyedropper and try to just sample, go right over where it gets really the lightest part of that. And there's the light part in there. And again, it still doesn't look right yet. Then I'm going to go around it on the other side of it, almost very close to it, right here. And this color, the third color, I'm going to sample, take the eyedropper, and sample that kind of bright reddish color right there. And you can see it's starting to work its way a little bit. We might have to move things over a little bit. We might have a little more dark on the end. And what we have coming up next, the red color kind of stays there for a while. So what you could even do is click again, and I think it's staying on the same color, but you can just kind of click on the same color again, just to kind of make it work longer in there, because when you have stripy looking colors, you want them close together. So you want these sliders close together. So I'm going to look at the next color here now, which is kind of this dark color. So I'm going to click over here, and I'm just trying to estimate about where it is here. So I'm going to go right about here. And I'll take my eyedropper and just go right in the middle there. It's kind of a brownish color, and there it is. And then we have a light color. So I'm going to go here and pick this light color. It's very, very close to the end. So I'm going to go near the end here. And again, I'll sample that kind of pale color that's right there. Now, that may not be perfect yet. We may need this color closer to that pale color to make more of a line. So I'm going to kind of move these close together. The more you move them close together, the more they make a line. So that doesn't look too bad. Now, again, we don't have the ridges on yet. And I might even just kind of move this over and move this over and put one on the end, like a darker one on the end. Now, we have a pretty dark one on this end already, so I think we just have black there. Now, if you want to make that, if you want to click on the very last one and make it a very dark red, you can do that. And then if I want to add one here, remember, click here, and you can see it's kind of dark already, and I'll just kind of use a color just like that on the end. Now, I could bring this thing over a little bit. Maybe I could shorten this gradient just a little if I need to. And you could try moving these around, seeing if these, alter things at all. You can see I can move that a little bit. If I wanted another color just like that, I could almost go right next to here and sample that same color again. Again, I'm using that light color here. So now I'm making kind of a brighter kind of sample here. If I click on these two, they're next to each other. Now, it's really hard to see now, but I'm kind of getting where I want to be here. It's kind of reddish, kind of brown. That's actually not too bad. I think that's pretty close as far as what we're doing. I don't expect to get it perfect. Now, what I'm going to do next is draw a rectangle over top of this. Now, I could have kept my earlier one, but I'm going to draw something right over top of it, just like that. You could see when I created this rectangle, it didn't pick up that color, and I'll show you how you could use that color, or unless I did already, I think we did the copy already. But before I do that, I'm going to zoom into this, and I'm going to round it off a little bit. I don't know if it, no, it's not rounded off, but I'm going to round it off. I'm going to use my sub-select, just round it off slightly, and then I'm going to convert it to a path. And if I want this same gradient on it, what I could do is I'm going to use my pointer and click on this shape, the foil, and do Command C or Control C to copy, if you remember doing that. So I'm doing Command C to copy, or if you're on Windows, do Control C, and then click on this shape, and this is where we could do Edit, Paste, and they have an option called Paste Style. Paste Style. And look at that, it's the same one. Now you could kind of shorten it and move it over if you wanted to. I think what I'm going to do is just put a drop shadow on it. So I'm going to click on drop shadow, and remember that if you don't want it to go over at all, you could leave X at 0, and if you want it to go up, you could put it on a negative number, and if you want it to go down, you could put it a positive number. So I'm going to put it on a positive number. I'm not seeing anything. Let me click off here. All right, I found out the problem with the drop shadow. I took it off, I put it on, I wasn't seeing it. If I use like a Y value of like 4, make it really small, and a blur value of 4, real small, and leave it at 65, I don't see anything. But if I zoom out, I see it. I was too close to see it. It was driving me insane. And now I can see it, so actually I might even go down and make it 3 pixels and make the blur even less, like 3, so it's a little sharper. I don't need it a lot, and even here maybe I'll go down to 50 because I don't need a lot. So that looks better, but for some reason I was zoomed in too far to see the shadow, which is unbelievable. I can't believe that was the issue. But what I'm going to see when I zoom in, I can't see the drop shadow, so be careful if that happens to you. Now, what I'm also going to do now is take my sub-select tool and select this object and just drag up slightly, just to give a little bend, and make sure you see that little icon when you go over it, and give it a little bend, just very slightly. Try to stay in the middle, and just like that. And I don't need anything under here. I don't need a drop shadow on the top or anything. I think it looks fine like that. I could always put a thin stroke on it. You know, I could always go over here and add a border and make it real small, like 0.25 or something. I don't know if that'll even show up. And that could work, but it might look better even without the stroke on. I'll have to zoom out to see. I guess that looks okay, but I could always change that. But that looks pretty good so far. So I'm going to zoom out here, and now my bottle looks pretty good as far as what I have. I think the foil looks pretty good. I think it looks better than the original, to be honest. And I don't need these things anymore. That's a pretty nice looking bottle, I have to say. I think it looks better than my other one. I like the gradient in the middle here, even though it doesn't look exactly like this one. Remember, this is the picture of it. Now, what I'm going to do is make a layer folder over here. I guess I'll just call it bottle. That's the bottle parts, and then I'll select this. Now, I didn't name this path. This is it's the foil lip. I'll call it the lip. It's kind of like a lip that sticks out. So I'll call that foil lip, and then I'll highlight all of these. I'll select this one. I'll hold Shift, and then I'll drag them on top of body so I see that real bright kind of magenta color and leave go. So they're all in there. And now if I use the eyeball, they're all gone, they're all there. I'll go back to my pointer, so I'm not seeing anchor points or anything like that. So that looks pretty good. That's a pretty nice looking bottle, I think. I could certainly do more with it. I could put a little highlight there if I need. I could even just draw it on a little rectangle or something if I need. But I think for now, that's pretty good. Like I said, if you want to put any more of a little object here and blur it or something, you could probably do something like that, but I don't know if that's necessary. That's a pretty good looking bottle. If you compare it to the original, that's one thing, but we don't need to compare it to the original. That's a pretty nice piece of vector artwork right there. And if I turn this off, you know, you might not even know that. And if I want to hide my guides, I don't have to get rid of them. I could leave them there, but I could just go to Canvas, turn off Show Guides, and that's a pretty good looking bottle. It's just waiting for a nice label to put on there. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to make a glass. So now that we're done with the bottle, we've had our little glitch there with that thing. I'm going to save this and make sure it syncs. And we'll come back for the last part. We're just going to do our glass. So I think we're done with the bottle for now. We're going to get back to it and put a label on, but we're going to work on the glass in part 4 for this exercise.